The American West is known for its vast and beautiful open spaces, with wide plains, tall mountains, and endless deserts. But in the middle of all this, there's a place that really stands out for how empty it is: Central Nevada. Here, the land stretches out far beyond the eye can see, yet very few people live here. What is it about this place that keeps it so empty? When most people think of Nevada, they usually think of the bright lights of Las Vegas or the busy streets of Reno. But Central Nevada, that's a different story. This region covers a large area, including counties like Nye, Esmeralda, and White Pine. But it's one of the least populated places in the entire United States. So why does such a large area have so few residents? There's more to it than you might think. To understand why Central Nevada has so few people, we need to look at its geography. This area is part of what's called the Basin and Range Province, a vast region with lots of mountain ranges, separated by wide, dry valleys. These valleys, known as basins, are often flat, barren, and have little water. The soil in Central Nevada is often rocky and full of salt, which makes it hard to grow crops. On top of that, a lot of the land is owned by the government, which means there are limits on what can be built or developed. And then there's the isolation. Many people have to drive over an hour just to get to the nearest grocery store or gas station. But that's just one part of the story. There's something else about this region that plays a huge role in keeping it so empty. Climate is also a big part of the story. Central Nevada is home to the Great Basin Desert, one of the driest places in North America. The climate here has always been incredibly tough. Summers are brutally hot, with temperatures often soaring well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The intense heat bakes the land, making it difficult for anything to grow. The soil dries out and cracks, leaving only the hardiest plants to survive in such an unforgiving environment. Winters, on the other hand, bring their own set of challenges. The temperatures can drop sharply, and the cold can be just as harsh as the summer heat. Snowfall is rare but possible, adding to the difficulties of living here. Rain is scarce, with the region receiving less than 10 inches of rainfall a year, far too little to support traditional farming. Without a steady water supply, agriculture becomes nearly impossible, requiring significant effort and resources just to maintain small plots of land. But here's the surprising part. Despite these harsh conditions, a small group of people did try to make a life in Central Nevada. But what happened to those who stayed behind? And why didn't other industries take root in this region? The answer reveals even more about the challenges that continue to shape Central Nevada today. Geography is just part of the story. Central Nevada has always been very isolated, a fact that shaped its history during the westward expansion of the United States in the 1800s. Most settlers avoided this harsh region, opting instead for the more fertile lands of California or easier routes like the Oregon Trail. Central Nevada, with its rugged terrain and lack of rich soil, didn't offer the same opportunities for agriculture or easy settlement, so it was often overlooked. However, the lure of hidden wealth beneath the desolate landscape did attract a few brave souls. In the mid to late 19th century, Central Nevada became a focal point for prospectors and miners, driven by the promise of silver and gold. The discovery of silver in the region, particularly during the Comstock Lode era in nearby Virginia City, sparked a wave of interest in Nevada's mineral-rich lands. By the early 1900s, significant mining strikes led to the rapid development of towns like Tonopah, Goldfield, and Rhyolite. These miners set up camps in small towns as they searched for valuable minerals in the area's many deposits. But despite periods of success during the mining boom, these towns didn't experience long-term growth. Once the minerals were exhausted, many of these mining towns were abandoned. Without a sustainable economy or other industries to fall back on, Central Nevada remained isolated and sparsely populated, continuing to struggle with its economic development. The mining boom brought brief periods of activity to Central Nevada, with towns like Tonopah and Goldfield popping up almost overnight. But these towns didn't last long. Once the mines were empty, people moved on, leaving behind ghost towns as reminders of a time when Central Nevada was buzzing with life. But what's become of these ghost towns today? One of the most striking things about Central Nevada today is how remote it still is. The biggest town in the region, Ely, has just over 4,000 people. To give you an idea, Las Vegas, in the southern part of the state, has over 2.7 million people in its metro area. The difference is huge, but how do the few people who live in Central Nevada manage in such a remote place? Building roads, railroads, and other infrastructure in this part of the country is really hard. The mountains make it tough to build highways, and the dry valleys are too far from each other to support large farms or towns. Even getting basic services like healthcare and education can be difficult because everything is so spread out. Or take water, for example. In much of Nevada, water is very precious, and Central Nevada is no different. The region relies heavily on groundwater, which is often hard to get to and limited in supply. Without a steady water source, it's almost impossible to grow big communities or have large farms. But did you know that water scarcity isn't just a modern problem here? The economic challenges in Central Nevada are just as tough as the environmental ones. After the decline of mining, which once provided many jobs, there aren't many industries left to support the people living here. Some towns have tried to adapt by turning to tourism. They use their history as ghost towns or their beautiful natural scenery to attract visitors. While this brings some income, tourism alone isn't enough to keep these towns thriving. Most tourists only visit for a short time, and this doesn't provide steady, year-round jobs. As a result, many young people leave Central Nevada to find better opportunities elsewhere, often moving to cities where jobs are more plentiful. This leaves behind an aging population, which makes it even harder for the area to grow. With fewer young people to work in businesses, attend schools, or support local services, these communities face a slow decline. The lack of new industries or investment means the region continues to struggle economically, stuck in a cycle where limited opportunities lead to more people leaving, making recovery even harder. Adding to Central Nevada's isolation and economic challenges is the significant presence of military installations and testing grounds in the region. In the 20th century, vast portions of Central Nevada were designated for military use, most notably the Nevada Test and Training Range, where the U.S. military conducts various operations, including aircraft training and weapons testing. This military presence has had a profound impact on the region. Large areas of land are off-limits to civilians, limiting opportunities for development, and further isolating the communities that do exist. The secrecy and security surrounding these sites mean that much of Central Nevada remains inaccessible to the general public, reinforcing its status as one of the most remote and sparsely populated areas in the United States. Moreover, the environmental impact of these military activities cannot be overlooked. The Nevada Test Site, part of the larger testing range, was the site of numerous nuclear tests during the Cold War. The legacy of these tests includes concerns about contamination and ongoing restrictions on land use, further complicating efforts to develop the region. While the military installations have provided some jobs and economic activity, they have also contributed to the region's isolation and limited its economic potential. The vast, restricted lands and the lingering environmental concerns have made it difficult for Central Nevada to attract new industries or large-scale investment, perpetuating the challenges of living in this remote area. Living in Central Nevada today is not for the faint of heart. The region's isolation, tough climate, and lack of infrastructure make it one of the most challenging places to call home in the United States. Yet, for the few who do choose to live here, these challenges are precisely what make the region special. Daily life in Central Nevada is shaped by the rugged landscape and extreme weather. Residents often have to drive long distances to access basic services like healthcare, education, and groceries. The infrastructure in the area is sparse. Building roads and maintaining them in such a remote and mountainous region is difficult and expensive. The dry valleys and harsh conditions mean that agriculture is limited and water scarcity is a constant concern. Despite these hardships, the people who live in Central Nevada are deeply connected to the land. They take pride in their ability to thrive in such an unforgiving environment. The isolation fosters a sense of independence and self-reliance, traits that are highly valued in these communities. The small, tight-knit populations often form close bonds, relying on each other for support and camaraderie. The region's stark and dramatic landscape also offers unique rewards. Central Nevada is home to some of the darkest, clearest skies in the country, making it a paradise for stargazers. The natural beauty of the area, with its high mountains, wide desert valleys, and vast open spaces, provides a sense of peace and solitude that is hard to find elsewhere. For those who love the outdoors and value a quiet, unhurried way of life, Central Nevada offers a unique appeal. Great Basin National Park, for example, is a hidden gem near the Utah border, offering opportunities to explore ancient pine forests, hike to the top of Wheeler Peak, and discover a vast underground cave system. The harsh conditions and isolation that define life in Central Nevada also create a deep sense of connection to the land, a connection that is both challenging and deeply rewarding. But living in Central Nevada isn't for everyone. The difficulties of life here, ranging from the harsh climate to the economic struggles, mean that the region continues to lose residents, particularly young people who seek better opportunities elsewhere. Yet, those who remain are a special kind, tough, independent, and deeply rooted in the land. For them, the very challenges that drive others away are what make this place home.